Um, I first met Kenny Barron when I was very young. I was maybe like, I mean, Kenny's basically known me from the time I was born. But he actually played on my father's first record. There was a record label at the time in the 70s and early 80s called Gramavision. And my father's first record, he had Kenny play on the album. And I met him early on through that. And then just over time, I started playing, and I'm trying to remember where I saw him when I moved back to New York. I think, you know where it was? I know exactly where it was. It was at Bradley's, and he was doing trio with Ray Drummond and Ben Riley at the time. And, I remember reintroducing myself to him because I changed a lot, of course, from the little kid that I was. And and I told him, yeah, I'm up in the area now. I'm playing, and I told him I was going to Wayne Patterson, and gave him the rundown, and so he's like, man, it's good that you're here. He's always been a type of like father figure in a way too, because he's always one of these people that looks out for you and really is concerned with everything that's going on. So it was great to have somebody like him in my corner, as well as people like Rufus Reed. So uh, we fast forward to maybe I guess it was 2004 or five or something like that, and he got stuck for a drummer because I think Ben Riley's health was starting to deteriorate a little bit, and so he wasn't able to travel as much, and so he got stuck for a drummer for a couple gigs in Europe, and he's like, man, I don't know who I should call. I don't know who I should call. So I say, I give credit to Joanne Barron, Kenny's wife, because Joanne said, well, why don't you hire Johnathan? And he was like, yeah, why don't I call Johnathan? So he called me, and we played a concert in Italy, I think, and then maybe a concert in Germany or something like that. Or no, it was in France. And man, it was just a beautiful experience. I grew up listening to so many of his albums, especially the trio records. It was like, always blown away by his writing, and then his touch on the instrument, his sense of time, everything was just like, wow, and then it was like, then the other factor was like, man, and then Ray Drummond's playing bass, who was like an intricate part of that trio. So I was like, man, I'm playing with the original trio. It was great. So so we just continued to work off and on, and then I guess it was like around 2005. He asked if I would join the band as a regular member, and I was floored. I was just honored, and I think what I've really learned by being in Kenny band over the last 10 years is his sense of pace, and how he reads the room. When we're playing live concerts, he knows exactly what to play, what tunes to play, and what tempos to count off, and to really engage everybody that's in the room. He reads it quickly. It's like an instant, and for me, that's really been helpful when I've made the transition from sideman to leader. Like really being, taking your time, really being able to count off and really be able to read the room. Should I play this song this time, or maybe I should wait and maybe play that later? But maybe I should do this song. He really does that so well. Of course, his playing is just, he's just unbelievable. He's one of the living legends in this music. So for me, it's a constant, learning, learning opportunity for me every time I step on the bandstand. I mean, even last night, it was, we played last night, and I was just like, wow, some of the tunes we hadn't played in a while, but it was just like, he just brings something out of me that, it's, he just has that command where he can just push you and make you play different things that you maybe not even thinking about. And, and I think that only comes from these guys that have the connection from the lineage of, the older statesmen of this music. Talking about Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie. He played with Dizzy, so there's he's an extension of that. So he brings that to the bandstand. He brings that knowledge and that history to the bandstand. So yeah, it's for me. It's been like going to school again. My name is Johnathan Blake.